Captain Elias Vance had flown across hundreds of light-years, but nothing had prepared him for the silence of planet Iridia. The barren landscape stretched endlessly, with jagged red rocks piercing the sky like broken teeth. His ship, the Pathfinder, hovered above a canyon, scanning for the source of the distress signal. It was faint, intermittent, but urgent. Elias's heart beat faster. Somewhere below, someone needed help, and he had always answered that call. He landed carefully on a narrow ledge near the canyon's edge. Dust swirled around the ship as its engines powered down, leaving an eerie quiet. The only sounds were the wind whistling through the rocks and the distant cries of unseen animals. Elias adjusted his utility belt and checked his pulse. He had been in dangerous situations before, but something about this place made his instincts sharpen. Signal source, just below, he muttered, scanning the canyon walls. His eyes caught a flash of movement. Two small figures crouched among the rocks. They were girls, probably no older than 10 and 8, huddled together, shaking. Their clothes were torn, and their faces streaked with dirt. They had clearly been hiding for a long time. Elias took a cautious step forward, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "Hey there. My name is Elias Vance. I'm here to help. Come out slowly, okay?" The older girl, who seemed to be about 10, peeked around a boulder, eyes wide with fear. Who are you?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'm human, just like you," Elias said softly. "I saw your signal. I want to make sure you're safe." The girls hesitated. One of them, the youngest, began to cry. Elias crouched down to make himself less intimidating. "It's okay. You're safe now. I won't let anyone hurt you." Slowly, the girls emerged from their hiding spot. The sun had already begun to sink behind the jagged cliffs, casting long shadows. As they stepped closer, Elias noticed how exhausted and scared they were. Their small bodies were covered in scratches and dust. He could tell they had been running or hiding for a long time. Before he could speak again, a tall figure appeared from behind a boulder. She moved with confidence and strength, despite the fatigue visible in her posture. Her dark hair was tied back, and her eyes, sharp and calculating, were fixed on Elias. She was clearly older, probably in her mid-20s, and there was a fire in her gaze that immediately put Elias on guard. "Who are you?" she demanded, stepping in front of the two younger girls protectively. "Why are you here?" Elias stood slowly, showing his empty hands. "I'm here to help. I received a distress signal. Your sisters are safe with me, but the area isn't safe. There are predators here. I need to make sure no one else is hurt." The woman studied him for a long moment, her arms crossed. "I am Amara," she said finally. "These are my younger sisters, Lonnie and Neva. We survived an attack, but the others, they didn't make it." Her voice faltered for a moment. Heavy with grief, Elias felt a pang in his chest. He had faced danger and loss many times in his life, but seeing it reflected in her eyes made it real. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I'll do everything I can to help you. Can you tell me what happened?" Amara's jaw tightened. She seemed to weigh whether she could trust him. Finally, she nodded. "The Zarkon came. They are not like humans. They hunt. They take. They destroyed our settlement while we were out gathering supplies. We ran, and these two hid. I tracked them, but I couldn't get to them in time." Elias's mind raced. The Zarkon were a dangerous alien species known for their cunning and strength. They had attacked human outposts before, testing defenses and studying human tactics. This was far worse than a normal predator attack. "Do you know if they are still nearby?" he asked. Amara shook her head. "I don't know, but they have sensors, and I've learned to avoid them. We cannot stay here long. We need to move." Elias nodded. "Agreed. My ship is safe, but we need to get out of this canyon. It's too exposed." He looked at the younger girls, who clung to Amara's hands. "Can you walk?" Lanny, the older of the two, nodded slowly. Yes, we can try. Good, let's move carefully. Elias led the way, and the sisters followed. The canyon was narrow and full of jagged rocks, making movement difficult. Elias used a small scanner to detect movement, alerting them to potential danger. As they climbed higher, Amara walked beside Elias, her eyes constantly scanning the rocks. "You move differently than most humans I've seen," she said. "You're precise. Careful." Elias smiled faintly. "That comes from experience. I've learned that rushing often gets people hurt. You've done well keeping your sisters alive. That takes skill." Amara's expression softened slightly, but she did not relax entirely. "We had no choice. They were hunting us. I had to protect them." The wind picked up, carrying a metallic scent that made Elias uneasy. "We're not alone," he said, pointing to a faint shimmer in the air. "Something is moving above us." Instantly, Amara's body tensed. She pulled out a small device, a tracker of sorts, and whispered numbers and coordinates. Elias didn't understand everything, but the precision of her calculations impressed him. The sisters' survival had not been random. They had a plan, a strategy. Suddenly, a shadow passed over them, and a low, guttural growl echoed through the canyon. The younger girls froze in terror. Elias gestured for them to stay back. He activated his personal defense shield, a faint blue energy barrier that could stop small projectiles and alien attacks. A massive figure emerged from the rocks. A Zarkon scout. Its 6 eyes glowing faintly red. Its long limbs moved with unnerving speed. Elias stepped forward, drawing a plasma pulse rifle from his back. "Stay behind me," he commanded. Amara did not move. Instead, she readied a compact energy bow. "We fight together," she said firmly. The Zarkon lunged, but Elias fired first, stunning it with a precise shot to the leg. Amara released an energy arrow, striking its shoulder. The alien shrieked and retreated, but the danger was clear. More were nearby. Elias knelt to the younger girls. "You're safe for now. But we need to keep moving. Can you do that?" They nodded, wide-eyed but trusting him now. The bond had formed quickly. Human trust, once earned, was powerful. Elias could feel the uniqueness of human resilience and courage in these sisters. Survival wasn't just instinct, it was intelligence, empathy, and courage combined. They climbed the final ridge before the canyon opened into a plateau. From here, Elias could see the remnants of the destroyed settlement in the distance, burning huts and scattered debris. The Zarkon were nowhere in sight, but the threat lingered like a shadow over the horizon. Amara finally allowed herself a breath. "We need to warn the other nearby settlements. They won't survive the Zarkon if they don't know." Elias nodded. "I can take you there. But first, we need to reach my ship. We'll be safer in numbers and with my tech." The journey to the ship was tense but uneventful. The sisters moved cautiously, learning quickly from Elias's guidance. By the time they reached the landing platform, night had fallen, and Iridia's twin moons cast silver light over the rocky landscape. Elias helped the younger girls aboard, checking for injuries and giving them food and water. Amara stood at the edge of the platform, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. There was grief there, but also a spark of something else: admiration, respect, and a growing understanding that humans could face the impossible and survive. Elias turned to her. "We'll keep your sisters safe, and we'll fight back if the Zarkon come again." Amara's expression softened. "I know. I can see that you are one of the humans who can make a difference." I won. For Elias, it was a quiet affirmation. Out here, on a wild frontier world, humans were still special. They were resilient, brave, and capable of hope in the darkest moments. And tonight, he had met proof of that in 3 sisters who had refused to give up. The distress signal had led him here, but what he found was more than a call for help. It was a glimpse of what made humanity exceptional, and he knew this was only the beginning of a story that would test courage, ingenuity, and heart in ways he had never imagined. The twin moons of Iridia hung low in the night sky, casting a silver glow over the rocky plateau. Captain Elias Vance had secured the younger sisters inside the Pathfinder, ensuring they were fed, hydrated, and safe from immediate danger. Amara remained outside for a moment, her gaze scanning the distant canyon where the Zarkon had appeared. Elias followed her quietly, respecting her need to assess the situation. "They won't stop," Amara said, her voice low but firm. "The Zarkon. They don't hunt for food like we do. They hunt to control, to dominate." Elias nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. He had faced alien predators before. But the Zarkon were different. Intelligent, adaptable, and relentless, they treated humans as experiments, not opponents. "Do you know where they came from?" "Quote," he asked. Amara shook her head. "Not exactly. They come from the northern cliffs. From the shadow ridges. They move in packs and they scout constantly. We've seen their kind before, but they rarely attack settlements openly. Something made this one different." Elias studied her closely. She was sharp, methodical, and unafraid to confront danger. It was rare to find humans who could combine skill, courage, and intelligence so naturally. "Then we need to find out why. If we understand them, we can plan our next move and protect your sisters." Amara gave a slight nod. "We have no time to waste. If they return, this plateau won't protect us. We need to find a defensible position and gather allies." Elias led her toward a rocky ridge, where the terrain gave them a natural advantage. From this vantage point, they could observe the canyon entrances without being easily seen. He deployed a small drone equipped with infrared sensors to scout the area. The drone hovered silently above the rocks, its lights scanning for movement. Amara peered at the monitor. "There. 3 signals, moving fast. They are scanning the plateau." Elias examined the readings. "They're cautious. They haven't committed to an attack yet. But they're studying us. They're testing boundaries. That's typical Zarkon behavior." Amara's jaw tightened. "Then we have to prepare. We cannot wait for them to strike." Elias agreed. "We'll need traps, diversions, and some way to control the battlefield. Their strength is in speed and numbers. Our advantage is in strategy, unpredictability, and human ingenuity." Amara raised an eyebrow, impressed. "Human ingenuity? You really think we can fight them?" Elias smiled faintly. "We don't just fight, we adapt. We find ways they don't expect. That's what makes humans dangerous to creatures like the Zarkon." The next few hours were a flurry of preparation. Amara and Elias moved rocks, fashioned barriers, and set up simple but effective traps using energy pulses, tripwires, and reflective surfaces to confuse the Zarkon. The younger sisters watched from a safe distance, learning quickly. Lonnie helped by collecting rocks and supplies, while Neva passed small tools to Elias and Amara. "Look at them," Amara said quietly, her eyes softening. "They're brave, even scared. They don't give up." Elias nodded. "That's human resilience. It shows in every choice we make, every step we take. It's not just strength or weapons, it's courage and creativity." Night deepened. The plateau was calm now, but tension crackled in the air. Elias and Amara scanned the horizon, their eyes straining to see any hint of movement. Then the first sign came, a low, resonant hum. Almost like distant thunder, but sharper, more deliberate. The Zarkon were approaching. "They know we're here," Amara said, tightening her grip on her energy bow. "They'll try to probe, to test our defenses before attacking." Elias checked his pulse rifle and nodded. "Then we give them a test they won't forget." From their hidden vantage point, they watched the Zarkon scouts carefully navigate the rocky terrain. The aliens were sleek, with long limbs and sharp, glowing eyes. They moved silently, calculating, and every step was deliberate. Elias noted their patterns. They split into small groups, advancing cautiously, avoiding open areas. Amara whispered, "They underestimate us if they think humans are easy prey. We'll use that. Together, they lured one of the scouts into a trap, a hidden energy net that surged upward, ensnaring the creature. It struggled violently, screeching. But Elias and Amara remained calm. The younger sisters gasped, but Amara gently placed a hand on their shoulders. It's okay. They can't hurt us if we stay smart and brave. The trapped Zarkon emitted a strange vibration, almost like a signal. Elias frowned. It's communicating. There must be others nearby, waiting for it. Amara's expression hardened. Then we prepare for them. They think this is a fight they can win. They're wrong. They worked through the night, setting more traps and studying the aliens' behavior. Elias marveled at Amara's natural leadership. She commanded respect without raising her voice, making every move precise and meaningful. The younger sisters mimicked her, learning how to observe, predict, and act strategically. By dawn, the Zarkon returned in larger numbers. They approached cautiously, testing the plateau's defenses. Elias and Amara moved in sync, using human ingenuity to their advantage. Rocks fell at calculated moments, energy pulses diverted attention, and the aliens were gradually funneled into traps. The battle was tense, with every move requiring focus and quick thinking. The Zarkon were fast and strong, but human adaptability proved superior. They learned from mistakes, improvised, and coordinated attacks in ways the aliens could not predict. Amara fired arrows with pinpoint accuracy, while Elias used pulse blasts to disable alien sensors. Lonnie and Neva, inspired by the adults, assisted by relaying messages and signaling safe paths. Together, they formed a small but formidable team. As the Zarkon retreated, Elias lowered his rifle and exhaled. They won't give up. This was just a warning. They'll be back with reinforcements. Amara nodded, though there was pride in her eyes. We survived. We fought together. That counts for something. The Zarkon will have to respect humans if they want to survive. Elias glanced at the younger sisters, who were wide-eyed but smiling. They've seen what humans can do, he said. Courage, teamwork, creativity, those are our weapons, sometimes even stronger than firepower. Amara's gaze lingered on Elias for a moment, admiration evident. You fight not just with weapons, but with your mind. That's rare. Elias shrugged. It's what humans do. We adapt, survive, and protect each other. That's why we thrive. They spent the next few hours reinforcing their position, taking shifts to watch for further threats. Elias taught Amara and the girls simple scanning techniques and warning signals. The sisters learned quickly, their fear replaced by focus and determination. By midday, the plateau was quiet again. The wind carried the faint scent of distant fires from the destroyed settlement, a reminder of what had happened. Elias approached Amara. We need a long-term plan. The Zarkon will return, and we can't fight them one battle at a time. Amara nodded. We'll need allies, nearby settlements, anyone willing to stand against them. And we'll need to train the survivors. Humans are strong, but strategy and coordination will give us the edge. Elias smiled faintly. Then we start building that edge today. We show the Zarkon that humans are not just survivors, we are fighters, thinkers, and protectors. And that's a combination they cannot defeat easily. For the first time since arriving on Iridia, Elias felt a spark of hope. The younger sisters were safe. Amara had proven her leadership, and together, they had survived the first wave of alien threat. The plateau, though scarred by battle, now symbolized something more than danger. It represented human resilience, ingenuity, and unity. As night fell again, the twin moons casting silver shadows, Elias and Amara stood side by side. The younger sisters slept peacefully inside the ship, unaware of the larger challenges ahead. Yet Elias knew that this small group, bonded by courage and trust, could face anything the galaxy threw at them. He looked at Amara. The fight is far from over, but we'll face it together. Humans are strong when they work as one, and we'll prove that to every threat out there. Amara nodded, a determined glint in her eyes. Together, we survive. And together, We fight back. Elias watched the horizon, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the thrill of purpose. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and here on Iridia, in the shadow of alien predators, their spirit would shine brighter than ever. And somewhere deep in the canyon, unseen by human eyes, the Zarkon observed, calculating, learning, and preparing. They had underestimated humans once. They would not make that mistake again, but Elias knew this. As long as humans had courage, ingenuity, and unity, there was no force in the galaxy that could crush their spirit. The morning sun rose over Iridia, casting long golden shadows across the plateau. Captain Elias Vance stood with Amara, surveying the rocky terrain that had become their temporary stronghold. The younger sisters, Lanny and Neva, moved quietly among the supplies, carrying water and helping to organize tools. Though still small, their confidence had grown after the previous night's skirmish. Elias scanned the horizon. "The Zarkon will return," he said, his tone steady. "They are patient hunters. They test, they probe, and then they strike with force. But we have something they don't. Unpredictability." Amara nodded, her dark eyes focused. "We survived before. We can survive again. And this time, we'll be ready." Over the next several hours, Elias and Amara devised a plan. They would no longer wait for the Zarkon to approach. Instead, they would take the initiative, using their knowledge of the terrain and their ingenuity to control the battlefield. Elias explained his strategy. "We use the plateau to our advantage. Narrow paths funnel them into traps. Energy pulses can confuse them. And if we coordinate, we can make a small team feel like a larger force." Amara smiled faintly. "I like the sound of that. Humans can surprise even the smartest predators." They set to work immediately. Rocks were moved to create natural barriers, and energy nets were hidden along likely paths of approach. Reflective panels were positioned to create illusions of movement, and small drones were deployed for reconnaissance. The younger sisters helped, running messages, observing movements, and learning tactics from Elias and Amara. "Look at them," Amara said softly, watching her younger sisters work. "Even after fear, they learn. That's what humans do. We don't give up, and we don't just survive. We adapt," Elias agreed. "And we fight smart. Courage is not just bravery, it's intelligence under pressure. That's what makes humans dangerous." By midday, the plateau was a carefully arranged labyrinth of traps, alarms, and hidden observation points. Elias and Amara took positions on higher rocks, their energy weapons ready but unmoving. The younger girls hid safely behind reinforced barriers. The first Zarkon scout appeared on the distant ridge. Its 6 glowing eyes scanned the plateau, moving cautiously. Elias whispered instructions into his communicator. "Wait for my signal. Let them come closer. Don't fire too soon." Amara nodded. "Understood. They'll think they have the advantage. Then we strike." As the scout moved forward, it triggered a small sensor. Instantly, hidden panels reflected sunlight into its eyes, disorienting it. The Zarkon hissed and recoiled. Then, without warning, an energy net sprang from the ground, ensnaring its legs. The alien struggled, its shrieks echoing through the canyon. But it was trapped. Amara released a carefully aimed pulse arrow, disabling the alien's communication device. Elias studied the movements of the remaining Zarkon. "They are watching. They are learning from the first one. We need to act fast, but carefully." The next wave of Zarkon approached, slightly more cautious. They had learned something from the first trap. But humans were learning too, adapting, observing, and predicting alien behavior. Lonnie and Neva, watching from their safe positions, signaled patterns to Elias and Amara. Noticing subtle movements the adults could not, Elias grinned. "They're helping. Humans work together. That's our strength." Amara's eyes sparkled with admiration. "Yes. And it's not just strength. It's creativity. It's courage and intelligence combined. That's what the Zarkon cannot understand. The battle escalated as more Zarkon appeared, moving in a coordinated pack. Elias and Amara worked together seamlessly, their strategies complementing each other. One would lure the aliens into a trap while the other struck from above. Rocks tumbled at calculated moments, energy pulses distracted, and the Zarkon found themselves caught in a web of human ingenuity. At one point, a large Zarkon leaped toward Amara, its claws extended. Without hesitation, Elias fired a precise pulse blast that hit the creature's leg, causing it to stumble. Amara then released a pulse arrow that struck its shoulder, sending it tumbling into a hidden pit. The coordination was flawless. Lonnie and Neva watched, wide-eyed, as humans proved their cleverness against creatures much stronger than themselves. "They're amazing," whispered Lonnie. "Yes," whispered Neva. "Humans are special." Elias noticed the younger sister's admiration and smiled. "They are learning. That's important. Courage grows when it is taught and shared." By the end of the first day, the Zarkon had retreated temporarily, injured and wary. Elias and Amara used the pause to strengthen their defenses and treat minor injuries. The younger sisters helped as much as they could, feeling proud to be part of the effort. Amara turned to Elias. "You've taught them more than just defense. You've shown them that humans can overcome even the most dangerous challenges." Elias shook his head. "We've shown each other. Humans are special not because we're the strongest or fastest, but because we think, we adapt, and we care. That combination gives us an edge no alien can match." As night fell, the plateau remained tense but secure. Elias and Amara took shifts, keeping watch, while the younger sisters slept under careful supervision. The stars glittered above, indifferent to the small human settlement below, yet Elias felt a sense of quiet pride. Humans had survived impossible odds before, and here, on a hostile world, they would do it again. The next morning, Elias and Amara decided to take the fight to the Zarkon. "We can't just defend," Elias said. "We need to show them that humans are not easy prey. We take the initiative, disrupt their plans, and force them to adapt to us." Amara nodded, a determined glint in her eyes. "Agreed. Let's use the terrain, our knowledge, and our traps to make them think twice before attacking human settlements again." They spent hours mapping the surrounding cliffs and valleys, noting likely Zarkon paths and ambush points. Using small drones and observation techniques, they created a strategy that relied on speed, coordination, and surprise. Every movement was calculated, every trap carefully placed. By midday, the Zarkon returned in greater numbers, advancing cautiously, their glowing eyes scanning for human activity. Elias and Amara executed their plan flawlessly. Hidden traps, misleading reflections, and calculated energy pulses caused confusion and panic among the aliens. A large Zarkon attempted to leap directly toward the plateau, but Amara's arrow struck its leg mid-air, sending it crashing into a rocky outcrop. Elias fired a pulse blast at another, causing it to stumble into a trap. The younger sisters, watching and signaling from a safe distance, helped predict alien movements, proving that even the smallest humans could contribute to survival and strategy. Amara turned to Elias, admiration evident. "Humans are clever. Even the smallest ones can make a difference. That's why we survive." Elias nodded. "And we survive because we work together. Courage, intelligence, teamwork. Those are our real weapons. Not claws or fangs." By the evening, the Zarkon had retreated once again, clearly shaken by the humans' unexpected tactics. Elias and Amara surveyed the plateau, breathing heavily, but triumphant. They had proven that human ingenuity and courage could overcome even a physically superior enemy. Amara looked at Elias with newfound respect. "You are not just brave, Elias. You think, you plan, and you fight with your mind as much as your strength. That is rare." Elias smiled faintly. "That is what humans do. We survive by thinking, by adapting, and by protecting each other. And that makes us stronger than any alien force. As night fell over Iridia, Elias and Amara knew the Zarkon would be back, but they also knew humans had an advantage that could not be measured in claws or strength. Human creativity, courage, and unity had turned the tide today. The younger sisters slept peacefully inside the Pathfinder, unaware of the detailed strategy and careful coordination that had saved them. But they would remember this day forever, a day when humans, small and fragile in appearance, showed that intelligence, courage, and teamwork could defeat even the most dangerous predators. Elias gazed at the horizon, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility. "The fight is not over," he said softly. "But today we proved that humans are not just survivors. We are thinkers, fighters, and protectors. And that makes all the difference." Amara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Together, we'll continue to prove that. The Zarkon will learn the hard way that humans are not to be underestimated." Elias nodded. "Yes. And together, we will show them that human ingenuity and courage are unmatched." The twin moons shone over Iridia, casting silver light over the plateau. Below, the small human team rested, unaware that their courage, intelligence, and unity had already begun to turn the tide of an alien threat. And above, the stars remained silent witnesses to a truth that would echo across the galaxy. Humans, when united and clever, were a force unlike any other. The morning on Iridia was quiet, almost eerily so. The twin moons were no longer in the sky, and the sun rose over the rocky plateau, lighting the jagged cliffs in gold and red. Captain Elias Vance stood at the edge of the plateau, scanning the horizon with a keen eye. The previous skirmishes with the Zarkon had proven one thing: humans were clever, adaptive, and surprisingly resilient. But today, he knew, the stakes would be higher. Amara joined him, her dark eyes serious but bright with determination. "They are planning something," she said. "I can feel it. The Zarkon are patient. They wait, study, and then strike when they think we are weakest." Elias nodded. "Exactly. That's why we don't wait. We take the fight to them before they get the chance. And we'll do it in a way that shows just how dangerous humans can be when they work together." The younger sisters, Lonnie and Neva, were already helping prepare supplies and reinforcing their temporary base. Despite their fear the night before, they moved confidently now, following the instructions of Elias and Amara. Each task, no matter how small, mattered. Every rock placed, every barrier strengthened, was a step toward survival. Amara studied the younger girls for a moment, her expression softening. "They are learning fast. Courage is one thing, but intelligence, that comes from guidance, and we give them both." Elias smiled faintly. "That's the essence of leadership. Humans lead not by force alone, but by example, by showing courage and thinking carefully about every move." By mid-morning, the Zarkon had been detected approaching from multiple directions. Elias and Amara had already prepared a multi-layered defense strategy. "They think they know how humans fight," Elias said. "They will be surprised." Amara adjusted her energy bow, her eyes scanning the rocky ridges. "They always underestimate us. That will be their mistake." The first wave of Zarkon appeared, advancing cautiously. But instead of meeting them directly, Elias signaled the younger sisters to activate hidden traps they had set earlier. Panels reflected sunlight, creating illusions of movement. Energy nets sprung up at calculated intervals, ensnaring the first few aliens. The Zarkon shrieked in confusion and pain. They were strong, fast, and adaptive, but human ingenuity had created a battlefield that confused and divided them. The creatures hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Amara stepped forward, her pulse arrows striking with precision. "They don't understand humans," she whispered to Elias. "We're unpredictable. We think faster. Adapt faster." Elias nodded. "And that makes us dangerous. They may have strength and speed, but we have courage, intelligence, and unity." As the battle intensified, The Zarkon realized they could not approach the plateau directly. Elias and Amara led the younger sisters to a higher vantage point, where they could coordinate the defense more effectively. From this position, they observed the aliens, predicted their movements, and adjusted traps and barriers in real time. Lonnie and Neva, though small, became valuable observers. Lonnie noticed patterns in the Zarkon's approach. Signaling when the creatures were about to trigger a trap, Neva tracked movement from a distance, warning when any alien attempted to flank their position. Elias was impressed. Even the youngest humans can contribute. That's what makes us extraordinary. The Zarkon regrouped, realizing they were facing more than just physical resistance. They were facing strategy, intelligence, and adaptability. But humans did not relent. Elias led a calculated counterattack, coordinating rocks, energy pulses, and reflective panels to confuse and separate the aliens. Amara moved like a shadow, striking with arrows at precise moments to disable or incapacitate. Amara glanced at Elias mid-battle. We fight not just to survive, but to lead. Leadership is not given. It is earned by showing courage, wisdom, and care for others. Elias nodded, silently admiring her resolve. And that is what humans do best. We protect each other, and we fight smart. That is our advantage. The younger sisters watched with wide eyes, absorbing every tactic and every move. They were learning not only to survive, but to understand leadership, courage, and the value of human ingenuity. Each successful trap and clever maneuver reinforced the lesson. Humans could overcome even the most formidable foes through teamwork, intelligence, and bravery. As the day wore on, the Zarkon began to retreat, realizing the humans were not easily defeated. Elias and Amara allowed them to withdraw, knowing that this temporary victory was also a lesson for the aliens. Humans were not to be underestimated. Amara lowered her bow and looked at Elias with a mix of respect and admiration. "You don't just fight," she said softly. "You think, plan, and care about everyone around you. That's rare. Even among humans." Elias glanced at her, feeling a quiet warmth. Humans survive not just with strength, but with heart. Courage and intelligence mean nothing if we don't protect those who rely on us. That is what makes us exceptional. The younger sisters ran up to them, eager and smiling despite the exhaustion of the battle. "We did it," Lonnie exclaimed. "Yes," Neva added. "We worked together, we helped." Amara knelt down to embrace them. "Yes, you did. And that is why humans are special. Every one of you played a part. Every choice mattered." Elias stood back, observing the bond between the sisters and their resilience. "Leadership is more than giving orders," he said. "It is about showing courage, teaching others, and inspiring them to be brave themselves. That is the true strength of humanity." The group spent the evening reinforcing their defenses and tending to minor injuries. Amara continued to teach the younger sisters observation and strategy skills, while Elias monitored the surrounding area with advanced scanners. Together, they prepared for the inevitable return of the Zarkon. As night fell, Elias and Amara sat on a rock, looking over the plateau. "They will come back," Amara said, her voice steady. "Stronger, smarter, and more dangerous." Elias nodded. "Yes, but so are we. We have courage, intelligence, and the ability to learn. Every encounter makes us stronger. Humans survive because we adapt and protect each other." Amara looked at him, her expression softening. "And sometimes, the heart matters as much as the mind. You lead not just with strategy, but with respect for life and care for others. That inspires loyalty, trust, and courage in ways weapons cannot." Elias smiled faintly. "That is humanity. Strength, courage, intelligence, and heart. That is why we endure. That is why we survive where others fail." Below, the younger sisters slept peacefully in the Pathfinder, exhausted but safe. Above, the stars of Iridia shone brightly, silent witnesses to the bravery, intelligence, and heart of a small group of humans on a wild frontier world. Elias and Amara stood together, the weight of responsibility heavy on their shoulders but lightened by trust and mutual respect. They had faced impossible odds, and humans had prevailed not just with weapons or strength, but with intelligence, courage, and care for one another. In the distance, the faint shimmer of movement hinted that the Zarkon had not given up. But Elias was calm. "They will learn," he said quietly. "Humans fight with heart as well as mind, and that is a combination they cannot overcome." Amara's gaze met his, admiration and respect shining in her eyes. "And together, we will teach them that humans are not to be underestimated." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. "Yes. Together, we fight. Together, we survive. And that is why humanity endures." The twin moons rose again, casting silver light over the plateau. Below, a small human settlement rested in safety, prepared for the challenges yet to come. Above, the stars watched silently, witnessing the courage, intelligence, and heart of humans who had faced the impossible and prevailed. And in that quiet moment, Elias understood something profound. Leadership, courage, and intelligence were inseparable from compassion and care. That combination, uniquely human, was what allowed them to survive, to thrive, and to inspire loyalty and trust in those around them. Tonight, on Iridia, humanity had proven its strength not just through battle, but through heart, courage, and leadership. And tomorrow, they would face whatever came next, stronger, wiser, and united. The dawn broke over Iridia with a soft, golden glow. Captain Elias Vance stood on the edge of the plateau, surveying the valley below. The previous battles had taught him much. The Zarkon were cunning, adaptive, and dangerous. But humans united, intelligent, and brave were capable of remarkable feats. Today, he knew, would be the ultimate test. Amara joined him silently, her eyes scanning the horizon. "They are coming," she said. "All of them. This is their final attempt." Elias nodded. "Then we make it count. We don't just survive today. We show them what humans are capable of. Speed, strategy, and courage will not be enough. We must use every skill we have and fight together." The younger sisters, Lani and Neva, were already preparing traps and assisting where they could. Though small and young, their confidence had grown tremendously. They had learned to observe, communicate, and anticipate threats. Every small action mattered, and every contribution strengthened the group. Elias turned to Amara. "We fight not only with weapons, but with intelligence. Every human advantage counts. Adaptability, creativity, courage, and heart. We fight to protect, to survive, and to show strength." Amara nodded, determination gleaming in her eyes. "Then let's make them understand. Humans are not easy prey." Below, the Zarkon approached, moving as a single, coordinated force. They had clearly learned from previous skirmishes. This time, they were organized, their glowing eyes scanning carefully, their steps cautious but purposeful. Elias and Amara exchanged a glance. "Perfect," he said. "They expect a normal defense. We will give them something they cannot predict." They had spent the night preparing the plateau, reinforcing barriers, hiding traps, and positioning reflective panels to create illusions of movement. Small drones patrolled the edges, sending real-time updates about the aliens' positions. Every human action was calculated to maximize impact. The first wave of Zarkon entered the narrow valley below. Elias signaled, and the traps were activated. Energy nets rose from the ground. Reflective panels flashed in disorienting patterns. And rocks, guided by simple mechanical devices, tumbled at precise intervals. Confusion spread quickly among the aliens. Amara fired her pulse arrows with precision, striking Zarkon legs and sensors. Elias moved alongside her, targeting the creature's weak points with his pulse rifle. Every shot, every arrow, every trap was coordinated. The aliens were strong, but humans were smarter and faster in adapting to the battlefield. Lonnie and Neva observed carefully, signaling movements to Elias and Amara. "Left flank," whispered Lonnie, pointing to a narrow crevice where the Zarkon tried to sneak through. "Trap ready," Neva added, pressing a small device that triggered a hidden energy barrier, stopping the alien advance. Elias smiled. "Even the youngest humans can make a difference. That is what makes us special. Teamwork, courage, and intelligence combined. Nothing can overcome that." The Zarkon roared in frustration, realizing their coordinated attack was failing. They tried to regroup, but every movement was anticipated and countered. Amara and Elias moved fluidly, a perfect team, guiding traps, firing arrows, and coordinating with the younger sisters. Hours passed. The Zarkon attempted multiple attacks, but human ingenuity and adaptability always turned the tide. They had learned to predict patterns, set decoys, and use the terrain to their advantage. Every attempt by the Zarkon was met with careful countermeasures, and slowly, the aliens were being forced back. Amara paused for a moment, wiping sweat from her brow. They think strength alone can win. They cannot comprehend intelligence, creativity, and courage combined. That is human advantage. Elias nodded. Exactly. They underestimate the value of heart, unity, and quick thinking. That is why humans survive where others fail. The battle continued into the afternoon. The Zarkon, realizing they were losing, attempted a desperate flanking maneuver. Elias quickly adjusted the traps, using reflective panels to create illusions of humans in places where no one stood. The aliens fell for it, attacking empty spaces, wasting energy, and breaking formation. Amara fired an arrow that struck the lead Zarkon, disrupting their movement. Elias fired pulse blasts to disable sensors and communication devices, further spreading confusion. The younger sisters signaled every movement, helping predict alien behavior and reinforcing the human advantage. Finally, the remaining Zarkon retreated, defeated but alive. They slunk away into the canyons, clearly shaken by the humans' clever tactics. Elias lowered his rifle and exhaled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Humans had faced a far superior physical enemy and had won through intelligence, courage, and unity. Amara looked at Elias, admiration clear in her eyes. "I have seen many humans in my life," she said quietly. "But you fight not just with skill, but with your mind and your heart. That is rare. That is why we survived." Elias shook his head, smiling faintly. "We survived together. Humans are strongest when we work as one. Courage, intelligence, and compassion make us unstoppable." The younger sisters ran up to them, smiling despite exhaustion. "We did it," Lonnie exclaimed. "Yes," Neva added. "We helped. We were part of it." Amara knelt and embraced them both. "Yes, you were. And that is why humans are extraordinary. Every choice, every action, every person counts. Courage is not only in fighting, it is in thinking, learning, and protecting one another." Elias stood back, observing the plateau. The battlefield was quiet now, littered with defeated Zarkon, but marked by human ingenuity. "This is what makes humans exceptional," he said. "We don't just survive. We think, adapt, and protect each other. That is strength no alien can match." As the sun began to set, casting orange and purple hues across the plateau, Elias and Amara worked with the younger sisters to reinforce their base and gather supplies. The Zarkon had been defeated, at least for now. But vigilance remained crucial. Humans had learned much from this battle, and the lessons would make them stronger. Amara turned to Elias. "You lead not just with strength or weapons, but with heart. You inspire trust and courage in others. That is rare, even among humans." Elias looked at her, feeling a quiet warmth. "That is the way of humans. We survive by protecting each other, by thinking, and by acting with care. That combination, courage, intelligence, and heart, is what makes us special." The younger sisters watched, eyes wide, absorbing every word. They had learned more than survival. They had learned courage, intelligence, leadership, and unity. Humans were exceptional not because they were the strongest, but because they combined skill, creativity, and heart in ways no alien could predict. Night fell over Aridia. The twin moons shone, casting silver light over the plateau. The battlefield was quiet, and the humans rested, proud, and prepared for whatever might come next. Elias and Amara stood side by side, watching the stars. "This is only the beginning," Elias said softly. "There are other dangers out there, but humans have something no alien can take: courage, intelligence, and unity." Amara smiled, admiration clear in her eyes. "And the heart to protect one another. That makes humans truly remarkable." Below, the younger sisters slept peacefully, safe and secure. Above, the stars shone brightly, silent witnesses to a small group of humans who had faced impossible odds and triumphed. Elias knew that humanity's strength was not in weapons alone, but in intelligence, courage, and the ability to protect and inspire. The Zarkon had learned the hard way. Humans were a force to be respected, a species capable of overcoming even the most dangerous threats through teamwork, creativity, and heart. As Aridia's twin moons rose, Elias turned to Amara. "We have proven today that humans are not just survivors. We are thinkers, fighters, and protectors. And together, we are unstoppable." Amara's eyes met his, respect and trust shining. "Together, we will continue to show that humans will endure, adapt, and thrive, no matter what the galaxy throws at us." Elias smiled. "Yes, and that is why humanity endures. Courage, intelligence, unity, and heart, those are our greatest strengths. And they will guide us toward every victory yet to come." The plateau was quiet, but not peaceful. The humans had won today, but the galaxy was full of challenges. Yet Elias knew this. As long as humans remained united, courageous, and intelligent, there was no force that could overcome their spirit. And on Aridia, under the twin moons and the endless stars, humanity's light shone brighter than ever, a beacon of hope, courage, and ingenuity that no darkness could extinguish.